Hey everybody, I'm Amber.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot. And today, we are going to disturb you further than possibly ever before, because when there's no iris and there's no white sclera or whatever, however you say that word to the eye, the shit's trippy. And today, whenever you're listening, we're going black-eyed children. Black-eyed children. Those creepy little fuckers. You know what? That's it. They're creepy little fuckers. They're creepy.
I hate kids. I hate
No, I'm just kidding.
paranormal kids. Little girl ghosts. Oh, hell no.
Creepy.
I hate a little girl ghost. Come and play with us. No.
I hate a paranormal child.
Yeah, maybe not a vampire, but
Look, I don't hate... No, because our instinct is to help our youth. We want to help the children. And actually, you know what? That's so crazy. Okay. We want to help the children, and they can take advantage of us like that. That's so crazy that I just said all of that, because it was funny, because Roz asked me, I told you in the last episode, check out our last episode about mimics. Oh, look, I'm mimicking myself. Anyway, I've been thinking about, my little trip to New Orleans as a teenager lately, and I had actually been thinking about, a whole lot of it earlier, and then Roz comes in, and she shows me this TikTok of this girl who's like, has this ever happened to any of you, or can any of you relate, where you were a teenager, and you were at this party, and it's a bunch of 30-somethings, and, somebody at the party is like, why are you here, child? And so they pulled her aside, and they were like, hey, homie, are you okay? Are you safe? Are you feeling all right? And the lady making the TikTok was like, yeah, I'm fucking fine. What the fuck's wrong with you? And the woman that had pulled them aside was like, hey, how well do you know that guy you came here with? And she was like, yeah, we just met, whatever. And it was like, how old are you? I'm 16, 17, whatever. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to leave or whatever, but, do you know how old the guy that you came with is? And she was like, I assume he was, 26. I don't really fucking know. And it's like, no, he is 34.
Oh, my God.
The man that you arrived here with is over twice your age. And, everybody here is in their mid to late 30s, and I'm 28. I'm one of the youngest people here. And, I just want you to know, you're safe to be here. You're okay to be here. It's a safe space for you. Mm-hmm. But, if you feel uncomfortable, if you need anything, come get me, homie. Mm-hmm. And, that's cool and all, right? And my kid was like, can you relate? And I was like, no, sort of. Because, the whole point of the video was, being a teenager, that you're in, a very dangerous situation, and you're not cognizant of the danger that you're in,
oh,
right?
my God, making me sick.
Well,
just remembering.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my husband likes to say, because, I was a teenager in Memphis, and I was a bad kid, and I did a lot of, partying and stuff, and, I was at a lot of parties where there were, 30 to 40-year-olds, but I, worked with these people, that was why I was there, they were people from work, and even though I didn't work with all of them, I knew the people that were hosting usually,
right,
because it was their house, that's why I was there, and so, they knew I was a teenager, and they told their friends, back off, but nobody ever approached me and was like, oh, if you need anybody to talk to, come get me, homie. It was like, hey, brah, she's my boss's daughter. Mm-hmm. She's out here to have a good time. She's my friend. You don't fuck with her, you know? And, because that's the neighborhoods I was hanging out in. Mm-hmm. And my husband likes to say, you can tell that you were not from Memphis because you were in places you shouldn't have been in. Because, in a lot of big cities, it's all about your neighborhood, right? It's not so much about, what you look like. It's about where you're from. So, you hang out in the same neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. I wasn't from there. I hung out in the neighborhoods that my friends lived in. Mm-hmm. And those neighborhoods were just different, you know? And, my friends looked out for me, and they'd be like, so it was still, but I was cognizant of the danger I was in a lot of times. I didn't understand that I didn't belong in those places from, the neighborhood perspective, my husband told me. I did understand that, because my friends would say enough stuff, they'd be like, yeah, when you come over, just, come straight up to the door, I told my neighbors to leave you alone, or my mom told my neighbors to leave you alone. So, from that aspect, you knew there is a danger level there, right? Because if the walk from the street up to the door is a do not veer from your path, then you know there's a level of danger, and at the same time, not aware of the danger because you've been told it's all good, homie. And I just like, I find it's the exact opposite with black-eyed children.
Because full circle.
Full circle. Like, no.
5 minutes.
The whole thing is that with the black-eyed children, it's the adults do want to look out for you.
Yes.
So it's easy to take advantage of them as a black-eyed kid if they ain't noticing the lack of the whites of the eyes, because like it's human nature to want to take care of our youth. So you don't want to see a teenager get hurt most of the time.
Well, and a lot of times they're younger than teenagers. They're like, what did you say, 6 to 17?
6 to 16, I think, or 5 to 16, something like that. Because basically the age range of black-eyed children is minors, right? Like 17-year-olds, we as people kind of, we look at you like, yeah, you should know what you're doing with life by now.
Well, and also
you're an adult. Right, exactly.
As opposed to a 6-year-old. Or a 6-year-old who's like, hey, I'm lost.
Yes. We don't want you in trouble. We want you to find your mommy. We want you to get back to where you are supposed to be. Because you're not supposed to be here because we don't know you.
If a 6-year-old came up to me and was like, I'm lost, I don't know where my parents are. Of course you want to help, but then also I'm like, I do not want anybody to think I'm just kidnapped this fucking kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I do,
because you want to help, but at the same time it's like, what if this kid turns out to be an asshole and is like, help, I don't know where my parents are, and you're like standing right there, and it's like this. Oh my god.
There's so many, oh my god.
And there are shitty kids like that. What did you say? That she's not my mom. She's not my mom.
My little cousin, my big cousin and my little cousin, I guess he's I don't know, it was my aunt's grandson from her first marriage. My aunt's grandson was like 3, and I think he was like 3, maybe he's somewhere between 3 and 6, and my cousin was 16 or 17, and she took him to the mall with her because she had to go shopping, and he was like, I want new shoes, and she was like, no, I'm not getting you shoes. So he started yelling in the mall like, don't touch me, you're not my mom. And she was like, shut the fuck up, we are leaving.
We are leaving.
And then that little fucker locked her out of the car.
Oh my god, kids can be so awful.
You know what? He's got like 6 boys now, so I'm pretty sure he's getting karma.
Oh, I'm sure. You say
I'm
that.
Sure, like, he's got a lot of children.
But
like,
the point
he probably has, he's got some of the most in my family.
You know, it's not just paranormal, because like with the black-eyed children, we're talking paranormal, supernatural, but people take advantage of the fact that we want to take care of children. I mean, you have fucking like a child standing on the side of the road, sex trafficking. You stop and you try and help the child on the side of the road who's lost, and you get kidnapped. And that's a real thing. Serial killers do the same thing.
Like, I know there's a Criminal Minds episode. There's probably an SUV episode where somebody uses their child as bait to get access.
Or you feel safe around a person with a child because they have a child. Like, true
story. Oh my god!
Yeah. You know the hitchhiker. Is that what you're referencing?
The redheaded serial killer dad guy?
No, I'm talking about, so there was this hitchhiker, true story. I think this happened in the 70s or 90s. I don't think it was the 80s. It was one of the two. Anyway, she was hitchhiking, and this family pulled over, and they were like, hey, yeah, we'll give you a ride. It was a wife, a husband, and a baby. And she got in the car with them, and they kept her in a fucking cage under a box underneath their bed. That was an SVU episode too. Yeah.
But there's one where this is not what the episode's about. Sorry guys.
I know we're just trusting children.
Yeah, right. Because like there was a guy that he was like a serial killer, and he had red hair, and he had like 2 or 3 daughters, and he would quite often pick up women while he had his daughters with him, and then like take his daughters home on the way to take the woman home, and anyway, something like that. But yeah, children, it is a way to manipulate our trust values.
Yes.
Because we are more likely to trust a small child. We are more likely to trust an adolescent. We are more likely to trust an adult that has a child with them that does not appear to be scared or in danger.
Yep.
Period, point blank. Because, like, if that child with the person looks like they're in distress, well, now you don't trust that person. And you're going to not get in the car with them because you want to call the cops so that you can tell them, like, hey, go pull this car over. That kid looks like they're in trouble,
Exactly.
you know? But like black-eyed children, they prey on this mentality that children are trustworthy and that we are the protectors of the youth of humans. And that is a very important distinction because black-eyed children are absolutely not human.
They're not.
They have no whites to their eye. They have no
They're
color.
like shark eyes. Like shark eyes.
Shark eyes, exactly. Or, yes, like shark eyes, exactly. That's a great way to put it. Because, like, you be chilling at home, it's late at night, or maybe it's just dusk. Yeah. You get a knock or a ring at your doorbell. You answer the door, and there's a child of some indescript age and indescript description at first, because usually they have a hoodie on, and their hood is pulled up. Oh, I meant to do that. You know, so you can't see their face very well.
I can't find my parents.
Yeah, I need help. Like, my mom was supposed to pick me up, mister. Can I use your phone, mister? Like, I just need a little help, mister. Or ma'am. Like, please. But you don't, like, see them full in the face yet because they got their little hood down. They're doing their little black-eyed children thing.
Damn, that's creepy.
But, like,
so creepy.
It is creepy. And, like, you start to get a creepy vibe. And you're like, hey, kid, what can I do for you? And they're just like, they won't look up. They won't look at you. And finally, they look up, and it's just all black shark eyes, like Maddie said. And it's creepy, and you get a creepy vibe. And if you follow your instincts, you don't let them inside.
Don't let them in.
But if you're this one old couple in Vermont, you don't realize because you're just kind old grandparents like.
Right.
So you let in the little two kids who say they're waiting for their mom to pick them up. And
I
just start to, the grandma, she goes and she makes some cocoa and she's not feeling too great. And the kids, they ask to use the bathroom and she's sure it's down the hall. And then she looks their husband in the face while the kids are in the bathroom.
And he's got a motherfucking nosebleed.
He's got a fucking nosebleed. So she goes to check out the bathroom and she's like, what's up, y'all? What you doing? And they come out and they're like, our parents are here.
They say it like that too.
They do. And there's some weird electrical shit going on. And then the kids go away. But your nosebleed on your husband doesn't go away.
And you start getting nosebleeds. You start developing nosebleeds, and then your husband's diagnosed with cancer. And you have some illnesses now.
Yeah, because you know what? One theory is that the black-eyed children are aliens, and I 1,000,000,000% think so. And I 1,000,000,000% reinforced that. Like, I was wavering until I read this story. And then I was like, not aliens. Not just paranormal, aliens.
I think
that's why they're related to Men in Black. But
I
we'll get to that
think
later.
there's multiple types of black-eyed children. I could see it being.
Well, I could see there's like multiple types, but like I think the phenomenon with the ones that come to your door, like these specific stories we're talking about, or that we discussed previously, like because I'm not gonna disagree with you that there are multiple types, but like when it comes to the like knock knock knock, can we get help, and you get a weird vibe from them, and they have black eyes, like. I think they are specifically
but they could be vampires. Like, I remember we just,
Yeah,
so, like, I know you like
saying.
the alien one. I like the vampire one. I like vampires.
Well,
they're, like, immortal
vampires
children.
don't usually have black eyes.
That, well, depends on the lore. Because...
Like, no whites to your eyes. Vampires are trying to blend in with their prey.
Well, and that's the thing.
They're trying to mimic their prey.
Yeah, they are. They do. Damn it, why the fuck did I not mention vampires? I was like, wait, exactly.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's why their eyes, like, okay.
Right.
I'm not
I hear you.
Away, so
I hear you.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know that there's some vampires where it's like when they scent their prey, their eyes go black, and it's like... a shark's, exactly like a shark. So it's like, are the kids' eyes black because they have scented?
Because they're trying to feed.
Yeah. So I like the idea of them being vampires.
Because also you have to invite us in.
Yeah, exactly, bitch. You have to
invite us in. We can't just come in. Like, you have to invite us in.
Can I come in? That's so creepy.
I mean, like, so I get, like...
But I get the alien one, too, because, like, the lights flickering. radiation.
Yeah.
You know, is that why they got sick?
Well, and it's like, okay, so like from the vampire's perspective, there's the story of the guy that's sitting in his car in 1996, which the internet wrongly says is the first story of the Black-Eyed Children lore, but I know for a fact that it's not. Anyway, that guy's sitting in his car, he's writing a check, which is a really weird detail to have in the story, but he's writing a check, sitting in his car, knock at the window. Excuse me. And he rolls the window down, and there's these kids.
Ugh, fucking creepy.
And like that one, they're like asking for a ride to the movies.
Fuck no. First of all, I'd be like, where are your parents? Where is your mother?
Mm.
I'm not giving you again, I keep getting creepy vibes in the sense that if a child I don't know knocks on my door and is like, hey, can I use your phone? I'm not inviting you in. I'll stand on my porch and you can use my phone, but I'm not inviting you into my house. Because what if, like, your parents, like, the police show up and they're like, why is this kid in your fucking house? And then you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, they just wanted to use my phone. Likely story. I'll let a kid use my phone, but I'm not inviting them in. And if a kid knocks on my door and is like, hey, can we get a ride to the mall? Like 10, 11 years old. First of all, I've seen killer kids. I don't trust you. And also, like, fuck no, you're not getting in my car. What if I get pulled over?
Oh my God. Okay, so I wasn't going to bring this up yet. I was going to, like, bring it up later. But you say all of that, right? And so one of, like, at the beginning where I was like, it's wrongly, or, you know, at the beginning of this piece where I was like, wrongly, that's, the internet says this is the first story, right? Because I remember reading stories about Black-Eyed Children, and they're in conjunction with Men in Black, but we'll get into that next episode. But, like, okay, so Black-Eyed Children lore has been around for much longer than the 1990s, okay? Like, I know this for a fact. I know this from my lived experience of things I learned. Like, I learned about Black-Eyed Children when I was, like, a young teenager. That's when I first learned about Black-Eyed Children lore. I was happening to talk to Lolly before we recorded today, and I told her what we were recording on, and I told her, like, actually, I was telling her about how, like, this information that I had read, like, made me feel crazy, because, like, I know for a fact that this word was used before this time frame, but now it's the internet age, and so, like, people are dumb? I don't fucking know. No, like, okay, the word incel.
Okay.
Did you grow up with that in movies where they're like, you incels are going to pay for being incels, essentially? And it's basically the bad guys are Middle Eastern and they're calling the Christian people incels?
I think incel, yes, but I think incel is just an insult, like, for any sort of thing. Because right now, incel is a man who can't have sex and hates women.
Well, but when you look up the word incel, that's all it says. It says this lady in the 90s created the word incel, and it was a lady who created it, and it's involuntarily celibate because they're too ugly or their personality is too unattractive for whoever they want to have sex with to be willing to have sex with them. That's all you can find as the definition for the word incel. But I swear
I had heard it like as
it's just an insult.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, from everything I learned, the insult came from the fact that incels were the basically Westerners or non-Islamic people. And I wonder if it's xenophobia in the early 2000s that like erased
well,
that.
I mean, definitions change. Like, look at gay being happy versus now it means homosexual. You know
but
what
it still
mean?
means gay. It still means happy.
It does.
But that's my problem.
But is socially, you know, people.
But my problem is, if you look up the word incel, you can only find one definition. If you could find the multiple different things, I wouldn't be bothered.
Right.
I'm bothered by the fact that you can only find it as a coined term from the 90s by this lady on the internet who couldn't get laid, and she was calling it involuntary celibacy because, like, she's like, I can't be the only one that can't get laid, right?
So a woman started it. I mean, but I mean, I always assumed it was a man that started the...
That's what everybody assumed from what I read. But what bothers me, again, is incel was used pre-90s. I remember it very well. I remember. Just like with the Men in Black. That shit came from pre-90s as well, but on the internet, they say that this story about the guy in the car is the only thing, right? So anyway, I was talking to Lolly about it because I was like, I feel like I'm going a little bit fucking crazy.
Because I'm like,
just like the Hey Arnold thing, you know what I mean? Like,
right, what the fuck is
fucking Avatar, Last Airbender. I watched that shit before I had kids, but the internet says I didn't. Anyway, shit makes me crazy, makes me feel like I'm going insane. And so, in line with so I was telling Lolly about that, right? And I was trying to remember what the other thing, other than the definition of incel, was that has like making me feel crazy right now. And it was the Men in Black thing, right? Or the Black-Eyed Children thing. Not the Men in Black, but the Black-Eyed Children lore, where the internet says it didn't start till the 90s. And Lolly was like, no, I remember reading stories that were from that time, back when I was in my creepypasta days. And like, finding stories about Black-Eyed Children from before the 90s, which is what I also remember learning about. So here's my thing. You say this about, I'm not going to let this kid in my house to call the cops. Like, I'm going to bring my phone out to the porch. In the 50s, in the 60s, you couldn't do that. You had to let them in. And you would never think in the 50s or 60s that this kid's going to murder you, because it was the 50s or 60s. So Black-Eyed Children, like, they're still following an old model. Right. Sorry, like, no, they was like a whole circular. No,
they totally were. They totally are. First of all, I can't believe that about incels, because I did look that up, and you were so right. What the fuck?
Sorry,
but
I was like,
but you're right. That is like a 50s model, because nowadays, I'm not saying I wouldn't trust a child. But
in the 80s, it was very common. You go to a neighbor's house. I need to use your phone. Exactly. My mom's not home. I'm locked out. It was very common in the 80s. Very common in the 50s. Because they didn't have cell phones. In the 50s, everybody fucking knew each other.
They didn't have cell phones.
They didn't have cell phones. In the 80s, you didn't even have cordless phones.
Right, exactly.
Like, that wasn't, like, a big thing until, like, the 90s. Maybe some people in the 80s had cordless phones, but it wasn't, like, popular until later. Yeah. So it's like, this is old social customs that they're using.
It is.
So again, it makes me go like that. I just find that to be interesting. I didn't make that connection until earlier.
It totally is. Because like, I really, truthfully, not only that, but like, if it's a kid, they could steal something. Kids be stealing shit all the time.
Right. Like, and other than like Leave It to Beaver's Eddie Haskell, like, the general public, like, if you looked at kids as delinquents, then you looked at all kids as delinquents.
I don't want to be shitty. I'm not saying like I don't trust a fucking kid. It's just I would rather protect myself or my husband. You have a pretty big husband with a beard, and if a kid rung on the doorbell and was like, "Can I use your phone?" Is he gonna let a kid in to use his phone? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, would be. It's just like a.
Well, and I
today's
guess
day and age is different.
It just depends on the era, because like,
in the 50s,
I grew up in the 80s where that was normal, so like I would let a kid in to use my phone. Right, I absolutely would.
Nowadays, it's unusual if let's say 10-year-old knocks on your door. Can I use your phone? Well, where's your cell phone? Why do you not have a cell phone? Because unfortunately, kids nowadays.
But that's the difference in my age and your age, because that is not my response. That's not my response.
Well, no. I just mean. Again, that's a generational thing, like you said, because nowadays, kids as young as like 6 and 7 have cell phones, and if
some of them, but lots of parents don't let them.
Not all of them.
Because like, I wouldn't think that where's your phone? That wouldn't be my thought ever.
Like at a 10, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, can I use your phone? Where's your phone? Like,
would not be my thought.
Right. Well, and then like you said, that's a generational thing, and it's 2024 now. So I feel like, again, it's just like you said, it's that older custom. Like, it's like, this is something kids do. They don't do that shit anymore. They don't do that anymore. I mean, maybe they do, but not really.
I've had kids come to my door.
You do?
Like, in my adult life, in the past 20 years, I have had a handful of children that I vaguely know, or they live around me and I didn't fucking know, because it's not the 50s anymore, and I don't know all the kids that live around, but they've come to the door for various different things that you might say is old-timey now, but maybe it just depends on who raised that kid.
Maybe, yeah, because I don't think I've ever had a kid knock on my door asking, but I see where it's like, it was more common back then. Like, my whole point is, like, I see what you mean saying it's older customs, because in my entire adult life, I've never had that happen. Never.
And part of me goes, is this why the Black-Eyed Children lore has been changed in what you can find about these urban legends? From the standpoint of, they tried to modernize the urban legend to go better with your generation.
I know that you said that, and I'm like,
saw your face.
Now I'm like, okay, they're not knocking on the door. Can I use your phone? Now they're knocking on the door, and they're like, hey, can I use your charger? My phone died.
Like,
or
yes,
it's like,
exactly.
hey, would you like some Girl Scout cookies? I would be more likely to answer the door for some
Right,
sort.
but like, I'm just wondering if like, because you can say that me remembering these things differently has to do with the Mandela effect, but also if you look into the Mandela effect, I read something about how like they're in some of those like government papers that get declassified. There's been stuff released where like they did the Mandela effect stuff on purpose to fuck with our brains, to basically like just further control us. But you know, you could say that me remembering it differently than what I can find online is something about my brain or the Mandela effect or timeline shifts. But I'm starting to think that they have gone through and scrubbed the internet to change the urban legend, because it's not just an urban legend. Like, there's not, like, black-eyed children are really a thing, and like they want to confuse it by changing what the stories are, because if you're looking for one thing, it can come at you in a different way. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. It does, and also
because, like you say, kids today aren't going to come to your door and ask to use your phone. But that's what black-eyed children lore is. So if you're looking out for that, you're fine. But if you're at the mall and this kid's like, oh, I just need to text somebody real quick, like, and you don't look them full in the face, maybe somehow there's still an energy exchange. Maybe there's still somehow something that they're getting from you. And I'm just like, where do adults and kids like interact otherwise outside homes? I don't know. I'm just like, it's making me think.
The store, hey, I lost my mom.
Yeah.
You know, or like.
And you don't really look a kid full in the face in that because you don't want to be accused of taking that kid. So you're just like, let's find a manager.
Exactly. Hey, let's find a manager.
And you're holding hands with them where you've got hand chakras and they've got hand chakras and they're just downloading your DNA information.
Wow.
Aliens. Sorry.
No, that's so interesting. I'm wondering what everybody else thinks.
Right? Because, like, vampires, like, that could also come into play with if you're alone with that kid and they're a lone vampire and you're not really paying attention and they put their little arms around your neck because they're like, I can't find my
fucking
mommy.
Claudia. Claudia did that shit. She's like, Mom.
But, like, because maybe you think it's just their fingernail scratched you, but really,
I know they bit the fuck out of you.
I don't know. I just thoughts, because like black-eyed children lore has always creeped me out because I mean, black-eyed children, right? Like there's the lack of the iris and the lack of the white sclera or whatever, right? You can't find that in human nature anywhere. Even if like they have like oversized pupils, there's always going to be the whites of the eye.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? You can't find it in human nature that way. So it's creepy. And then there's the one where one of the black-eyed children's stories that I read, it wasn't black shark eyes. It was empty goddamn holes.
Ew. Yeah, you had said that. That is so gross.
It's so gross.
It's
like,
so creepy.
That's creepy. Like,
that's
creepier,
wrong. I think.
That's scarier.
It's unsettling.
Like, that, yeah. I think that would eat me.
Yeah, that's the vampire.
Yeah. That's the zombie children. You know, there's not a whole lot of black-eyed children lore, like, or pop culture movies that I could find. Like, there's the Let Me In, which I think is a vampire one, right? Or...
Yeah, about the little girl, I think. I started to watch that. I remember when it came out, never finished it. It was a remake of a foreign film.
Yeah.
There isn't much. I think there's an episode of Supernatural. Of course there is. I mean, there's an episode for everything.
Yeah, right.
But that's the only thing I can think of.
Like, I remember there was a film series back in the, like, it started in, like, 2007, I think. It was called The 8 Films to Die For.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking love The 8 Films to Die For. Like, they're really good. If you're a horror movie lover, they're really good. But in the first year that they had The 8 Films to Die For, because this was back in our Blockbuster days, so, like, We would get like 1 or 2 every weekend. It was called Wicked Little Things.
Ooh.
And they were zombies, but they were like black-eyed children because like they'd show up at the door and then they'd like drag you off and eat you because it was like, it's set in Pennsylvania and it's like an old mining accident happened and all these kids that were forced to work in the mines died in the mines.
Jeez.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
That sounds sad.
I mean,
But they were
it's
evil.
sad, but it was scary. Yeah, like, I mean, the kids, they were only evil because they were made to be evil because, like, people were responsible for their deaths and they didn't,
Right.
you know what I mean? I don't know. It was like, but for me, like, I know it's not straight up black-eyed children lore because, like, they very much are like black-eyed children. Otherwise, like, they showed up at the door or you'd see them out in the yard and then they'd disappear and then they'd be at the door. Like,
Oh my god.
it's fucking creepy. Like, black-eyed children shit is creepy. What do y'all think about black-eyed children? Like, do we have a dear listener out there who has ever had a black-eyed children response? Or experience, not response? Please let us know in the comments. Amber's down.
Let us know in the comments, and if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes. And, oh my gosh, we forgot this last episode. Hey, Death by DVD.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Victoria.
And Pam.
Thank you so much for being our patrons on Patreon. If you guys would like the extra content and the spiffy little shout out, you can become our patron on patreon.com/Witches Talking Tarot.
We are on Threads, Facebook, and Instagram at Witches Talking Tarot.
And we are on the X as Classiest Witches because we're the classiest witches you know. So thanks for coming to sit with us this spell. Bye.
Just a bunch of hocus pocus.
I'm Maddie.
I'm Amber.
And we're Witches Talking Tarot.
We are the weirdos in this story.
Like a song, like a Santa snubble. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble. Sam.
Wow.